Okay, so it should be recording right now. So I only have 2 people in the attendance list right now, but maybe some other people will pop in. Hi guys, my name is Miss Holly and I am from the Algonquin Library. And I'm just going to introduce some of our panelists right now. I think we are still waiting on one. We'll see if they show up. But the first person we're going to have talk is Mari from the Barrington area homeschoolers. And the Barrington area homeschoolers exist to strengthen Christian homeschool families by fostering relationships, providing activities, and inspiring learning. And they hold their monthly meetings in Crystal Lake. But the monthly meetings, they do support meetings for parents and a great variety of field trips, enrichment, and service opportunities for the students. And then the next panelist will be Melissa from Classical Conversations of Crystal Lake. And Classical Conversations is a bigger, wider, nationwide organization, international actually, but she is just part of the Crystal Lake faction of that. And they support homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview in fellowship with other families. And they believe there are 3 keys to a great education: classical, Christian, and community. And then our next panelist will be Jen from Classical Consortium Academy, not to be confused with Classical Conversations. They have a very similar name, but the Classical Consortium Academy is a comprehensive academic program that focuses on a classical method in both the subjects, how the subjects are taught, and the subjects that are taught. The students attend classes and are responsible for accomplishing homework from those classes during the week under their parents' supervision. And the homework is graded by the Academy and grade reports are given twice a year. And then the final panelist is Kathy, and she is responsible for the McHenry County Homeschool Happenings Facebook group, but she is also a volunteer at the Johnsburg Public Library, their Homeschool Resource Center. And the group on Facebook is just a really good place for everyone to get together in the McHenry County homeschooling community to talk about homeschooling. It's a pretty diverse group. It doesn't really matter what your religion is or your philosophy on education. It's just a big place for everyone to come together and discuss homeschooling. So without further ado, I will let Mari take it over to talk about the Barrington area homeschoolers.
Well, I'm Mary Yeager, and it sounds like Mari because it has an I at the end. So.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. I'm president of Barrington Area Homeschoolers. I've been a part of this organization for about 14 years. And as Holly said, Barrington Area Homeschoolers exist to strengthen Christian homeschool families by fostering relationships, providing activities, and inspiring learning. It's basically a support group. It's not a co-op that offers any classes. It doesn't require any volunteer hours or anything like that. It's families getting together to support each other. So we try to encourage learning. We try to bring speakers in to kind of help people kind of spark ideas to what to do at home or how to help their kids connect with other kids. And it's basically a support group. We use it through monthly meetings, as she said. We do field trips and events. The big changes this year, as you guys all know, with COVID is our monthly clubs have been canceled until we can figure out long-term what that requirements are going to look like, and just to kind of help protect the families. Our theme this year, because of COVID actually, is Find Your Tribe. And so our focus is going to be on helping families connect in smaller groups. So groupings of about 5 families. We're going to do this through a voluntary questionnaire where last questions like, do you want to meet based on how old your kids are? Do you want to meet based on where you live? Do you want to meet based on online or in person, or what kind of schooling or where you are in your homeschool journey, just those kinds of things. And then our goal is to do our monthly meetings. We're going to do all of those online because who knows what's going to happen month to month, right? So, and these online meetings they'll be shorter. We used to go like 2 hours because we just talk and talk and talk and talk. But it'll just be an hour because who can stand in Zoom for more than an hour? At least I can't. And so basically we're bringing in speakers or long-term homeschool parents to kind of bring in ideas of how to really not only just find your tribe as a parent in homeschooling, because it's a crazy journey, but to help your kids find a tribe, like just different families like with kids the same age, and how to help our kids to do that in this season where, you know, maybe the only people they know are who they're online gaming with or something. And so it's a hard time we're in. We're also going to have some outdoor events this fall before the weather goes crazy, just to help families that feel comfortable to get together and meet. And we'll have all that listed on our website, which I think Holly, your library has all that information. And lastly, I just want to say why I'm a part of Barrington Area Homeschoolers. I started, and I'm kind of very independent, like I know what I want and I'm going to try things and don't tell me what I should be trying or not trying. And so I started off that way. And then about 4 years in, I'm like, I think I need people to speak into my life. And I showed up at a meeting and immediately someone shared some great advice. And hang on a second, I'm losing power. Can you help me? Okay, it's right there. And it was exactly what I needed to hear. So sorry. Technology is amazing. Sorry. Thanks.
Oh, you're fine. I'm a technology librarian, actually, so.
Oh, are you?
Field.
Come to my house and help me out. Anyway, so it's just, you know, you just don't know what you need, and you feel like I've got this idea, but then you talk to somebody else with a cool idea, and then your homeschooling goes so much further because, like, oh, I never thought of trying that with my kids, or I never thought of trying this new idea of education, or I had no idea that my kid just wanted to play soccer every week with some other kids. And so just having a community to go to is just really great. And that's why I like, we call it BAHS. Some people call it BA. Some people are offended by that. Who knows? But it's just a great place to gather. And then we're trying to resource families too, to be able to connect with Classical Consortium or Classical Conversations or Heartland or some of the other groups in the area so that they can find what will help them to get together. And then the cool thing about being a support group is our limitations aren't as restrictive. We can kind of flex with the times. And so we're flexing, and you guys are all flexing with us. Thanks. That's it.
That's awesome. I like how you put that. We're all flexing with the times. All right, so the next person I wanted to move to was Melissa with Classical Conversations of Crystal Lake. I think you're muted.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that reminder. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Adams, and I'm the current director with Classical Conversations out of Crystal Lake, Illinois. Thank you, Holly, for letting us participate today on this and for organizing it. As Holly mentioned, we are a nationwide organization and international as well. So we're in all 50 states and the District of Columbia, and also Puerto Rico, and about 15 other foreign countries. So it's kind of an interesting little thing about Classical Conversations, that no matter where life takes you, you typically can find a group to join. So Classical Conversations we follow a classical Christian homeschool curriculum, and we call it CC for short. So I'm just going to start referring to it as CC. It was founded by a woman named Lee Bortons about 23 years ago, and one of her sons is the current CEO of the company. Right now there's about 117,000 students enrolled in the program. And like I said, you can find a community pretty much wherever you're at. We do, again, follow a Christian classical model of education, which is based on the art of, a classical education, I should say, is based on the art of grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And those three arts are known as the trivium, for parents that aren't familiar with that. And what's unique about our program is that it's Christian. Not all classical education is Christian. And we do put God at the center of all of our learning. We teach that He is at the origination point of all learning and the reference point for all learning. So I can go just a little bit into the three elements of the trivium for basic information. And the art of grammar, which is pretty much how all students will start out the day. We have students enrolled in Classical Conversations from about 4 years old, and they're in the foundations curriculum up until the time they're about 12. And there's an essentials level of curriculum, and that's for about 4th to 6th graders. And then there's various challenge programs for grades 7th through high school. And so every student will start out with foundations in the morning. I guess I should say we meet once a week for 24 weeks. Our particular group meets on Tuesdays, and we meet about 24 weeks with a break every 6 weeks, and then also we have a fairly long break for Christmas and a week off for Thanksgiving. We are a full academic program, so we have all the academics and curriculum along with the element of learning together in a group, and the socialization. We'll do lunch and recess together when we meet on Tuesdays, and we like to organize field trips on our weeks, especially on our weeks off, or just throughout the year. We are considered a community. We call ourselves a community or a co-op, so really all the parents are involved. We have parents that step up and volunteer and take our training so they can become tutors. We refer to them as tutors because we feel that parents are the true teachers, and the tutors are there to educate the students and the parents on all the learnings that we have for the week. So there's academic and a little bit of socialization as well, which is kind of nice. The co-op is completely run by the parents. So during recess time, there's parents looking out for the children. There's a dad in our group that has former PE education experience. So he kind of organizes the games and all that for the students to play during recess time. And so they get a little bit of everything. But what I was saying in terms of the program, it's based on the Trivium, and the grammar is just basically training the brain to retain foundational knowledge of subjects with an emphasis on memory. So, for example, the grammar stage is all about knowledge. It's about learning facts, vocabularies, lists, and structure through memorization, repetition, listening, and practicing. We're trying to build a strong foundation of knowledge for students to build upon later as they develop. The classical method of education is said to be based on a child's natural propensity to learn through the age stages. The dialectic or logic stage is growing that student's understanding of the information that they've taken in, with an emphasis on questioning and discussion to hone your knowledge of a particular topic. In the logic phase, students will work on the hows and whys of things, and they will reason and look at cause and effect to understand the whole world around them. So if you kind of think about, those later elementary, early middle school years, and how students are questioning things, this kind of fits really well with their natural ways that they're learning and navigating the world. And then in the later years, typically in high school, they go to the rhetoric stage, and that's where they're displaying their wisdom and virtue with an emphasis on persuasion. So they're gonna really learn how they're gonna take in their knowledge already of a subject, or their new knowledge that they learn, and be able to debate that topic, to know enough about it to debate it well among people, and just dig deeper into topics and be able to synthesize their knowledge in order to clearly discuss it and defend their position on things, which I think is important in today's world. A community day for us, I know I'm running a little bit long, but a community day for us, as I said, anyone from the age of 4 to 12 starts out with foundations, which is a lot of that grammar stage and memorizing topics. We cover 5 components. The new material in our curriculum for the week. We do science experiments, live science experiments. We do 6 weeks of different fine arts projects, learning the elements of drawing. We study great artists and mimic their methods. We do a tin whistle section where we learn how to read musical notes and play an instrument. There's a presentation time, so every week each student prepares a 2 to 3 minute presentation and prepares it, provides it to their peer group. And our classes are divided by age groups. And right now we're a fairly smaller community, which keeps us a little nimble and flexible in today's world. We're meeting at a host church in Crystal Lake, and they have decided that they cannot open to outside organizations this year. So we are flexing. I'll steal Mari's word. We're flexing, and we're going to meet outside for as long as we can. And given that we're a smaller group, we're also going to be moving into individual community members' homes to try to get through the year. It's obviously much different than it has been in past years. And as a group, we know we're going to have to flow with, what happens across the state. And so we also have the option to resort to Zoom to, meet for our community days. And so our morning for foundations is about 3 hours, including our opening assembly. And any of the children that are, say, 4th to 6th grade that participate in essentials, that's an additional 2 hours in the afternoon with 45-minute emphasis on writing, 30 minutes of math, and 45 more minutes of English grammar language. And the challenge program for high schoolers is a much different, more student-focused learning. And that program has a parent-led director that leads those students. And just to sign off, there is a lot more information on classicalconversations.com. And you can also email me as well. And I don't know if Holly is going to provide our contact information, but you can let me know.
I can provide the contact information, yeah.
Thank you, Holly.
You're welcome. And then let's move on over to Classical Consortium with Miss Jennifer. If you just want to get going.
Sure. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for that, because you explained a lot about classical education, and so I will not repeat. But we too, have the same educational philosophy as Classical Conversations. So we are classical, we are Christian. I would say Classical Conversations, you described it as a co-op. I would say we are probably a hybrid school is the best way to describe what we are. So we probably feel and look a little bit more like a school, giving grades twice a year, having the structure of a typical school. We meet 1 day a week for our kindergarten through our junior high, or we call the logic level. And then we meet 2 days a week for our rhetoric level, which is our high school level. I also started a enrichment program, actually 17 years ago, called Heart. And so Heart is, so because you did such a great job talking about classical education, I'll just touch on both of those very helpful organizations, I think. Heart meets on Thursdays each week, and it is enrichment. It rounds out what you're doing at home, no matter your educational philosophy. And so it's, art and PE and music and drama and a bunch of electives. And so that serves kindergarten through 12th grade students. That is more of a co-op feel. We have some volunteer hours for the families. And that serves about 120 students this year. We meet at the Village Church of Barrington, and it goes roughly 33 weeks following the school year. Classical Consortium Academy meets on Mondays and Tuesdays if you're a high school student, and then we have an additional touch point for math on Thursday. That's been going on for 15 years, and we serve just over 140 students. As I said, it's kindergarten through 12th grade, and as I said, it looks a lot like a school. I think we best serve families who are coming off of a school experience and are nervous about handling education on their own. We partner with families also like Classical Conversations, believing that that parents are mandated to be the educators of their children. And so we try to help support them in doing that, trying to give them both the best of home and the best of school in that corporate learning environment. I feel like I'm missing. We offer a complete curriculum through the Classical Consortium Academy. So you don't feel like you're missing out on anything, or you can't figure out what curriculum to choose. We handle all of that. We handle the grading. We handle the keeping track of those grades and transcripts and all of that. All of the things that tend to stress out mom and dad, although they shouldn't be stressed about it, but we can handle all of that. What the kids do traditionally is they'll come to classes, and then there's homework that kind of fills their time the rest of the days of the week, and engaging in that work and diving deeper and just progressing their learning along. We meet for 35 weeks. Without being repetitive with Melissa, I think that's all.
Okay, we can keep going down the line if that's all you have. I just want to introduce one of the panelists that came in just a little bit later that I did not get to introduce right away, and we'll just move along straight to her with the Schomburg House organization. So we have Penny here from Schomburg House. And Schomburg House is a large non-sectarian group of homeschoolers that supports all educational philosophies and family lifestyles. They facilitate monthly social activities, holiday parties, classes, field trips, and general gatherings to help children in making friends and being part of a larger community. So I will let Penny take it away.
Well, thanks so much for inviting us, Holly. We really appreciate it. And you summed us up pretty well. We're one of the few secular non-sectarian groups in the state. Schomburg House is actually a smaller component of Illinois House, which is a statewide organization, but the Schomburg division is probably one of the largest and most active in the state, if we can toot our own horn. We have a great time. We have homeschoolers of all homeschooling styles and religious denominations, so we have a good time. We do a lot of field trips, usually with sort of an educational slant. So we'll do field trip, like if you did everything that our group did, you would be busy like several times a week. We do field trips, we do trips to nature centers, we do monthly ice skating, we do monthly roller skating. We have age-specific groups, so there's a teen level group, a tween group, and what we recently started Little Explorers, which aims at the younger children 8 and below. So we really enjoy ourselves and get out in the community and seek to support newer homeschoolers as they make the transition, because that can often be a pretty stressful time, kind of trying to figure out what is right for your family and how to go about educating your child or helping them educate themselves, as many of our members do. So that's probably us in a nutshell.
Okay, and then we can go along to Kathy Wentz. She does the McHenry County Homeschool Happenings Group, and then also the curation of some of the Johnsburg Public Library's homeschool materials.
Hi, it's nice to see everybody here today. So Penny did a good job of describing non-sectarian, the non-sectarian approach of Illinois House. McHenry County Homeschool Happenings is also a non-sectarian group, and essentially non-sectarian is one of those words that most people aren't used to hearing. They're used to thinking secular, or non-sectarian means we don't care who you are. You are more than welcome, and that is what McHenry County House also is. So we have families of all stripes, literally, in that group. And we now have over 1,000 member families. I did just drop the link for that. If you are on Facebook, you are absolutely invited to join that group. There is a sister McHenry County Homeschool Happenings group on Yahoo, but with the untimely demise of Yahoo, There's really not a lot of activity that can be done over there simply because you can't really send messages, there's no archives, etc. anymore to any of the Yahoo groups. But it does exist. If you don't want to join Facebook, you certainly can join that group, and we will do our best to meet some of your needs that way. Some of the things that happen over at McHenry County Homeschool Happenings, humor is very, very welcome. We love humor. We get a lot of legal questions and answers to those legal questions. Do be aware, we're not lawyers, we don't play one on TV, but we absolutely try to answer some of those crazy ones. We have tons of freebie announcements of freebies. Hey, this museum's doing this for free, and hey, you know, this class looks like it would be really cool and it's free. Hey, this workshop is coming up and it's free. We like freebies. So, you know, it's a great group to join if you are leery about Facebook, and I know a lot of people very understandably are. I have a fair number of people who joined Facebook, and their name is something along the lines of Mama Bear or Tigress, or I know you right away. when you come up with a name like that, I'm like, oh, this is one of my people. Admit. So feel free. You don't necessarily have to use your real name or your full name to join Facebook, even though they tell you that you do. Come up with something equally delightful. We're fine with that. And you don't have to give a lot of personal information. You do have to supply like your email address and a few basic things, but that's about it. So please come on over to McHenry County Homeschool Happenings. If you are homeschooling anywhere in the area, we are more than happy to have you and support you and encourage you. And it's all socially distanced and no masks are required, because you can do it in your pajamas on your sofa. So it's always very nice. And then we also wanted to talk about the Homeschool Resource Center at the Johnsburg Public Library. And we are about to have our 19th birthday. So our birthday, our grand opening was September 15th, 2001, just days after the September 11th attacks. And I knew we had a winner when we had dozens of people actually show up at the library for the grand opening. It was very nerve-wracking. Ever since then, we have been maintaining that collection, and we constantly get new things in, because obviously any collection that's 19 years old needs to be updated a lot. The original collection had things like VHS tapes, just to show you how old that was. So needless to say, we constantly are getting in new items. We're constantly working to make sure that it's current and it is appropriate for today's homeschoolers. We, started this 19 years ago with a $55,000 grant. So we were able to get things like microscopes and telescopes and tons and tons of microscope slides, glassware, chemistry glassware kits, all sorts of things that frankly you wouldn't use all that often, but you can come up to the library, you can check it out, you can bring it home, you can, try it before you buy it. Now, we used to have a 6-week checkout. Right now, temporarily, we are doing a 3-week checkout, just because there are so many new homeschoolers this year. We have reduced our time a little bit, but we've also reduced our hours a little bit. You're only allowed in the HRC or anywhere in the library for up to 30 minutes. So don't come right before we close. In fact, we have had a couple people where somebody's in there and then somebody new comes in and the person in there isn't done with their 30 minutes. And then, so please don't come in right before they close. Please check the library's webpage for what their current hours are. Google is not representing what the current hours are. And people have been showing up at like 7 o'clock at night. And of course, it's just kind of frustrating. when you've driven for a while to get there. Do be aware as well, you do need a full service library card, a full service Illinois library card in order to check things out. If you have a rural card, meaning you needed to go into Crystal Lake or you needed to go into Woodstock, or you live in Hebron and you have the Hebron card, which is a non-public library, you know, do be aware, you know, you may or may not have a full service card with what you paid. So check with your library and ask if you can interlibrary loan things. If you can interlibrary loan things, you will be able to check things out of the Johnsburg Library. Before you come, make sure you have paid off your fines at your library. You will not be allowed to check things out if they call your library and they find out that you have been naughty and not paid your fines. But do bring a basket, because there are lots and lots of goodies up there. I was in there a week ago and we still had quite a few things. There are about 2,000 curriculum items and support items that you can just check out for free, take them home, and make sure they actually work for you. Every family has a unique educational philosophy, has unique kids. And just because you've got a kid who needs to move all the time, you're not going to, you know, maybe be as successful with the workbook approach that your next door neighbor who homeschools uses. Or if you've got that child who is very, very studious and loves to read, and your homeschooling neighbor uses a program where it has lots of hands-on activities, or using math manipulatives, your child might look at those math manipulatives and say, I am not using those. Those are for babies. Trust me, I've heard this. So you know, obviously spend a tremendous amount of money on curriculum. The goal of the library is to allow you to try before you buy and save money. I know very few homeschoolers with cash to burn. Speaking of very few homeschoolers with cash to burn, this Saturday, we are having a used curriculum flea market. Everybody is invited. If you've got extra curriculum that you are ready to pass on and gift to the next family, because you bought something and your kid only used the first 5 pages of it, absolutely, come on up. There is room to sell. Likewise, panelists, please join us. We have we have tables set up for people who represent groups. We'd love to have you. I will drop the address in the chat, but we will be at Dreisky Moving and Storage this year, because the library is not able to have 300 people show up on their doorstep this year. And Dreisky Moving and Storage is run by a brother and sister who both homeschool, and their dad who homeschooled the brother and sister. And so I walked up to Mike and I said, hey, Mike, can we do this year? And he said, wow, that's a great idea. Let's do 2. This is our second one. So if you missed the one we had last month, please come to this one. It again is August 22nd. If you are selling, you need to be in place by 9 a.m. If you are buying, we open at 9:30 and we'll be there until 1. We have 3 live and in-person workshops. I'm doing a legal workshop. And then we have a dad, Mike Dreisky, who will be doing homeschooling from a daddy's perspective. And I think that in an awful lot of homeschooling, the homeschooling world, we hear a lot from the moms and we just don't hear much from the daddies. And Mike is a dad of 7. And I gotta tell you, he will lay on some serious truths, I'm sure, knowing Mike. And then after that, we have, last Monday I did a workshop, or I hosted a workshop, I didn't participate. I hosted a workshop, Homeschooling for Large Families. And we had all those storms blow through, and an awful lot of people who wanted to attend didn't have electricity. And literally, like, one of my panelists was out in her car because it's the only place she could plug her computer in, or get light. It was kind of funny. So we're going to be doing a live and in-person homeschool panel of homeschooling with large families. And it's a great opportunity if you are even struggling with 2 or 3 kids. What do I do with the 5-year-old? You know, how do I manage this? These ladies, again, they will lay some serious, lovely truths on you on how to manage the chaos of life with and the blessings that every family can bring to you. So I hope to see some of you at the used curriculum flea market this Saturday. The address for those of you who are audio learners instead of visual learners is 3203 Lakeside McHenry. Again, that's 3203 Lakeside Court McHenry, or you can just Google Dreisky Moving and Storage. And then, so again, McHenry County Homeschool Happenings, love to have you. Johnsburg Public Library's Homeschool Resource Center, I would love to have you. Both of those are open to every subject, every philosophy, every need. Reach out. I am here to help you, as are the other ladies. We would love to help you if you are struggling in any way, shape, or form. And then, of course, used curriculum flea market on Saturday. Again, it is completely free. We will have food available for purchase. I think we're going to do a burger, some chips, and a pop for $2. So we've gotten. I'm the one for reaching out and finding funding. And Thrivent Financial has gifted us with some money, so we're using that as seed money toward purchasing food, and we're hoping that it all gets eaten up by many happy families.
That sounds awesome. And then I did just have one question about how everyone is handling learning in the times of COVID. If anyone wants to go first or speak up.
So for Schomburg House, so much of what we do is field trips that it's literally going to depend on where we're going. So whatever the facility is telling us that we need to do, if we need to wear masks, then we will wear masks. If it's outdoor and we're, you know, a little more able to socially distance, then there may be an opportunity for people to go without a mask but still maintain safety, you know, at a social distance. But really, it will depend on the facility wherever the activity is happening. And I didn't even mention, we keep all of our, we have a platform where we keep all of our events. So when you become a member of Schomburg House, all of our events are kept on this platform and you can RSVP for them. If there's an admission fee, you could pay for it via PayPal there. But all the information is always in the write-up. So, so whether or not, you know, masks are mandatory or they're not, or whatever the situation is, it will always be in the write-up. So it will literally be event by event, kind of what we're doing, because we will obviously do what our contract is telling us that we need to do. So there, I don't know if that helps any.
It does. And I think Jennifer wanted to speak next.
So our programs, we have started earlier than we typically do. We started 2 weeks earlier so that we can take then a break from Thanksgiving until after the first of the year, trying to get ahead of the flu season and all of the yuck. So we're trying to host as many classes outside as we can and spread our kiddos out. We've purchased gaiters for all of them, and so our little motto is when you go, you gator. So if you're in the hallways or you're on the move to the bathroom or wherever you need to go, you mask up. And if you're close, you cover. And so if they're huddled around a microscope or something, then they put their masks up. But while they're seated in classes, socially distanced, or when they're outside, they're able to have their masks down, which is really nice. And so we're in person, and then we are also live streaming every class too. So if students don't feel comfortable, if they're immune compromised, if they have to be isolated for some reason, they're still able to attend class through Zoom because all of our classes are Zoomed live. So.
That's awesome. You are able to live stream. And then Melissa?
Similar to what Jen said too, we're going to be starting with classes outside and continuing that as long as we can in Illinois. Trying to do what we can, and we're obviously need to adhere to a very strict sick policy. So we're outlining that and going through it with families, sanitizing more regularly and according to CDC guidelines. Looking for field trip opportunities that are outdoors, and we're also have the capability to Zoom our classes, because we do the sick policy will be a little bit more stringent this year. Obviously, if someone in the home has a fever, we'd recommend that you stay home. And so we want to have that live streaming opportunity so that families don't feel like they're missing out on classes and doing too many weeks by themselves.
I'll go ahead and go.
Okay, awesome.
So I'm no longer homeschooling. I am a retired homeschooler. So my kids are all grown men now. But one of the things that I am encouraging families to do, if you can't join an in real life group, or you're not comfortable doing that, please understand that right now, especially for new homeschoolers, it is really hard to get curriculum. Almost every single major curriculum provider out there has like 2-month and 3-month and 4-month ship dates. And so I am strongly encouraging people to use the free library resources or free internet resources. If you have a library card and the internet, you have everything you need to homeschool. And if you type into Google, free unit study frogs, free unit study ancient Greece, free unit study, you name it, they have it. Your public library has all kinds of books, and even if you don't have the Homeschool Resource Center at the Johnsburg Public Library, you have all kinds of things. Some of my favorites, things like Science Experiments You Can Eat by Vicki Cobb. Literally, everything in here is stuff you already have sitting in your kitchen. You don't need to, reinvent the wheel. If you have a child that's fighting you on math because you are brand new to this and you and your child are both deschooling and you haven't quite figured out how you teach him best or how he learns from you best, and you can't, because of the situation, you can't outsource that information, go get some math games. There are books after book after book of math games sitting at your public library, and quality math literature. 2 of my absolute favorite series of math literature, and I know everybody's thinking Life of Fred, but I've got 2 others. So Cindy Nushwander's wonderful Circumference series. You meet Circumference, his wife, Lady Di of Ameter, and their son, Radius, who is, of course, half of Lady Di's height when she is stretched to her fullest. And then there's another wonderful series for every animal lover, and it's a little book, or book series. It's only a couple of books, but it's by Anna Nagda Whitehead, I believe is the correct name. And she does this wonderful series, and it's chimp math, panda math, tiger math, and you learn about fractions, you learn about telling time, you learn about all these things by basically this lovely story about these rescue. So in the case of polar bear math, Mama wasn't able to take care of the twins, so the zookeepers took them in and go to raise them. And so you learn all about math by learning about this lovely rescue situation. Some other things, I think most homeschoolers know about this lovely book, the Kingfisher History Encyclopedia. Most of us do this book in either 3 or 4 years, and there's a cycle, there's a formal cycle that many classical homeschoolers, Charlotte Mason homeschoolers, etc., all use. This book, though, it's under $30 on Amazon, and you can use you can use literally like internet and library resources with this book to flesh it out. And this is what homeschoolers call a spine. And you buy this spine. It is available still on Amazon. And you hang different materials on that spine. And the Kingfisher History Encyclopedia is an absolutely beautiful spine. And one last thing, because I'm kind of a nut about this particular series. Editor-in-Chief is an absolutely lovely little series. This is by the Critical Thinking Company. And this book, it gives you little lessons on your grammar. And then every kid's favorite part of it is it gives you a picture and a caption, which are 100% correct. And then they have mistakes. And it tells you what the mistakes to look for are, whether they're spelling or punctuation or adverbs or articles or whatever. It tells you what kind of mistake to look for. And you get to find somebody else's mistake instead of being told you made a mistake. Most little kids love this series, and it's a great, gentle introduction. This is available at the Johnsburg Public Library, of course, and it is actually still available from several curriculum suppliers. So I actually kind of checked it out. Just because so many of them are just not available, I want to show you some things you can kind of quickly piece together, have materials. They don't cost an arm and a leg, and it's just something to help you bridge the gap for now in the time of COVID. I didn't make money on any of those.
And Mary, did you have any last remarks about COVID?
I think I've already kind of shared what our group's doing with COVID. So just a personal note, I've got 2 kids graduated and 3 more in school. I've got 2 in high school and 1 in kindergarten. And just as a mom looking at homeschooling this year and what am I going to do with COVID, part of it is just being a part of a support group like Schomburg House, the Barrington Homeschoolers, or even just keeping your ear down with happenings that Kathy Wentz talked about. Just make sure you don't do this by yourself. It's it can get lonely. Sometimes you can get so perfectionist that you think, oh, I'm never going to do this, but really you're great, but you wouldn't know if you weren't talking to other families. And then I've got the 2 high schoolers. They just need people all the time. And so finding people in your area can be complicated because, you know, well, these kids are doing this and these kids are doing that, and we're making a change with our family maybe this year. And so just reaching out to groups to find out who's local, and like House does have a fantastic exactly what's going on web format. I really like theirs. We give you a list of the 130 some odd families' addresses and what ages their kids are, so you can be like, oh, I've got a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old boy, and then you can kind of know like just kind of people in the area, like, but just don't do it alone, and don't think that that you have to do it alone. Like there's a whole community out there. There's hundreds and hundreds of homeschoolers in the suburbs who are homeschooling, and a great way to connect that is through co-ops like Classical Conversations, or the schools that Jennifer Burns have put together are really fantastic schools. And there's just a lot of other resources, Heritage down in St. Charles, and Heartland up here in Crystal Lake, and they're all over the place. And so just don't do it by yourself all the time. Like totally take the time you need for yourself, but make sure you reach out to others. And that's, I'm always like texting people with like, hey, my daughter's a freshman, like I need to get 3 girls together on Friday. What can we do? And like 2 of them can do it. Like, that's great. Just do something. And so I find a lot of homeschooling isn't just the education, it's also helping your kids connect. Just especially in these times when it's just, you're not out at a movie theater because they're closed. So anyways, that's my 10 cents.
All right. Well, thank you. And everyone else is nodding their heads. Don't do it alone. And that was something I guess I didn't realize as someone who doesn't homeschool. I'm just a librarian trying to connect people with resources. I didn't realize how big of a community you all have. So it's pretty awesome to get into it like this. I guess I could just pose a question to anyone in the attendees list. If you have any questions, you could put them in the chat right now, or maybe the Q&A. Just send them to us somehow. Otherwise, we will kind of wrap up then if no one else has any questions. Wait a few minutes just in case. Oh, I think you are muted, Kathy.
Let me just, while they're typing, hopefully a question or two, let me just say, McHenry County has one of the largest homeschool populations of anywhere in Illinois. Because we have such an awesome community, we absolutely have a totally rockin' community here. So you live in the right place, even if it is in Illinois.
All right, well, I have not seen any questions pop up. So if you have any questions, you can always call the library or send me an email. It's holly.eberly@aapld.org. I should have sent you an email for the Zoom link, but I can send one more follow-up email with everyone's contact information and a recording link. And this should also be posted on YouTube, I think, eventually. So if there's no other questions, I figure maybe we could just wrap things up and leave.
Thank you, Holly, so much for the opportunity, and many thanks to you and Kathy for supporting homeschoolers. It's just, I think it's so encouraging that we really can do it, because we are a great community, all of us together, no matter what your philosophy is, and it's great. So thank you guys so much for the support. Libraries are awesome. And I'm so sad that the hours are shortened. I can't tell you in the time of when we were completely sequestered, to not have a library to go to.
I think that was the hardest for almost every homeschooler.
Oh my goodness.
It was hard for me even when I couldn't get anything I wanted. Like, I could get stuff I wanted to read from my library, but not from all the different, like the ILL stuff. So.
Right.
Number one, I had a stack of books just sitting there that I needed to return. I think it was a Friday that everything shut down. I had it for Saturday. Oh no, I've got all of these books. And then of course, my kids were like, I need more books to read. So we're so thankful for you. And thanks for supporting us homeschoolers. We love you.
Oh, we love you too.
We absolutely love you guys too. You guys are the generation now that is lighting the torch and leading the way. And I'm so proud of each of it, every one of you.
All right. Well, that's a good feel good ending. Well, thank you to all the panelists and all the attendees, and we'll see you around the library maybe, or the homeschool community.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, real quick before we finish up here, I'm just going to show you where you can find homeschool information on our website. So this is the Youth Services page, and that will be ys.aapld.org. It's a little different from the regular part of the website. So you'll just go to the parent and teachers toolbar over here and go down to Homeschool Resources. And then we have our page of Homeschool Resources. And we pretty much just take what is curated from the Johnsburg Public Library, since they're always updating their list every year to make sure it is current. So this is current. This is reflecting the COVID situation we are in. This was last updated in late July. And then just to gloss over the websites of the organizations we just heard from, this is the Barrington Area Homeschoolers website. And that's just, you can just type it into Google and it'll come up. And then here is the Classical Conversations Crystal Lake community. And you might have to search Crystal Lake in the Classical Conversations wider website, since it is an international organization. And then a Classical Consortium Academy. That is just classicalconsortiumacademy.org. And this is the Johnsburg Public Library's website. They have a Homeschool Resource Center there. And here is their list of McHenry County homeschooling groups. And they have just a few more resources on their website too.
And then the Schomburg House Home-Oriented Unique Schooling Experience. That is schomburghouse.org. And that'll be all.